One of the questions that I've been getting asked quite a bit recently relate to some of the goals of the program and where students should be once they come through the course. Our obvious end state, as we talk about quite frequently here on the site, is to prevent violent acts from occurring, to be proactive and identify criminals and identify attackers before they commit their crime, so that we can create a greater sense of safety and security and confidence among the people that we're out there tasked with protecting. We use behavioral analysis, but behavioral analysis is simply a method. It's a technique that we're going to use to get there, but there's some intermediary steps in there that are very important for us to talk about. If we are going to be proactive, if we are going to use behavioral analysis to actually prevent crimes from occurring, the goal of the programs is really to create a sense of informed awareness. And it's not just a higher level of awareness. We don't want people just to be hyper alert but not know what they should be looking for. The goal is to teach people what indicators that they can use, that they can rely on, that are accurate, that are validated, and let them truly make decisions that improve their observation and decision-making ability while they're on the ground. So I just want to talk a little bit about what informed awareness really means. And I usually put it into the framework of Cooper's color code, because it allows us to structure out the different levels of awareness that every person has as they go throughout their day. Cooper's color code identified 5 different states, 5 different conditions of the various degrees of awareness that a person might shift throughout the day. Originally it was created by Marine Lieutenant Colonel Jeff Cooper, but since then Lieutenant Colonel Dave Grossman has done an incredible amount of research that's really backed up some of these observations, and it'll show how we apply Cooper's color code in these states of awareness to being proactive and reading behavior and recognizing criminals. So I real quickly want to just go through each of the 5 different conditions and explain how it relates to being proactive while we're out there on the street trying to find criminals. The first condition that he talks about in Cooper's color code is referred to as condition white. A person who is in condition white has zero situational awareness. These are the people who are driving down the highway, doing the speed limit in the left lane, and have no idea that there is a line of cars, people trying to pass them. These are the people walking down the sidewalk with their face buried in their cell phones, texting away, and have no idea that they're running into people or about to walk into the middle of the street. A person who is in condition white is completely unprepared to deal with a threat should one arise, because they're not looking for anything. They're consumed in their own little world. Obviously, for security providers at any level, it's private security or law enforcement or military, we never want to be in condition white, because if we are and a threat does present itself, we have no chance at actually being able to be proactive or respond ahead of time. From condition white, we escalate up to what's referred to as condition yellow. Condition yellow is a relaxed alert. This is when a security provider, security professional knows that there's threats out there, knows that there are criminals out there that they should be looking for, but they haven't found anything specific just yet. These are the people who are alert, they're aware, they're assessing their surroundings, they're looking for the criminal, but have not yet found something to really focus their attention on. Once that person has found something to focus their attention on, they shift from condition yellow into condition orange. Condition orange is what we refer to as a specified alert. You've identified something that stands out, whether it's a person or an object or a situation. You've identified something wrong, and you've started to create a plan for how you're going to deal with it in your head. Once you create that plan, you shift from condition orange into condition red. Condition red is when you are executing that plan. Whatever it is that you determined, however you thought was the best way to deal with the situation, in condition red, you're actually taking action on it. From condition red, the last possible condition in the system is condition black. Condition black is when a person has become overwhelmed by the events, but overwhelmed by the actions that are taking place, and has essentially experienced complete mental and physical breakdown. A person in condition black has the same level of awareness as a person who's in condition white, but it's for a different reason. It's because they've essentially gone back internal. How informed awareness relates to these 5 different conditions can be identified looking at the relationship between conditions yellow, orange, and red. If a person is the most well-intentioned security, law enforcement, military professional out there, They're out there, they're looking for threats, but if they don't know what to look for, if they don't know what makes someone a threat, what makes someone stand out from the crowd, other than actually seeing a gun or seeing a weapon, they are never going to go into condition orange. They're going to go from condition yellow right into condition red. And as soon as they see that gun, they are now going to be reacting. There was no advance warning, there was no planning time, there was no chance to set the conditions for success. They're simply responding and reacting to whatever it is that criminal is doing. The reason that we talk about behavioral analysis and identifying other indicators other than actually seeing a gun or other than actually seeing a weapon is because if we can teach someone what makes someone a threat, we can escalate from condition yellow into condition orange, and whether it's only a few seconds or a few minutes or a few hours, any time in condition orange allows us to be proactive. It allows us to create that plan that we need in order to take action on our terms and dictate to the enemy or dictate to the criminal how the situation is going to go down. If we go from yellow to orange and then to red, we have now created that capability. But it all comes back to this first level. You have to know when you should start planning. You have to know when to start executing those plans and calling in backup or taking whatever action is necessary. When we look at behavioral analysis, by identifying what a person's intentions are, by getting away from looking for the variables that exist across all of these tasks and focusing on the one and only one constant, identifying those people with violent intentions, that's what's going to allow us to get into condition orange and not make that jump from yellow right to red. And this is the relationship between being proactive and being reactive on the street. If we are left of bang, we're being proactive, it means we've identified some cue that alerted us to focus our attention on a specific person. It's when we miss those cues that we end up being right of bang, when we're reacting to the enemy. There are other companies out there that are very, very good at teaching people how to be better at being right of bang. It's an essential capability. The quicker you can end some of these shootings, obviously you'll save more lives than if the situation goes on, definitely. The focus of our company, the focus of our programs though, is to offer the opportunity to get left of bang, to teach people what there is to teach people what to look for that allows them to be more aware of their surroundings to prevent violent action occurring. Somewhere between 60 and 90% of all communication is nonverbal, depending on what study and what research you believe is the most accurate. And regardless of where in that spectrum you believe is the most accurate representation of nonverbal behavior, an incredible majority of all communication is nonverbal. Yet in school we're taught to read, write, and speak English, but we're never taught how to read behavior. And when we're making decisions without these indicators, without taking nonverbal behavior into account, we're very naively making decisions without having that majority of all information that's available. And so we talk about creating informed awareness. That's why we choose behavioral analysis, because we can reduce the level of uncertainty that police, military, security professionals have in their jobs by teaching them how to define the human terrain, how to define the people that are coming into the building you're tasked with protecting, or when you're going on patrol and you have to assess those people who are approaching you to determine very quickly and very accurately if that person intends to do harm to you or not. So when we talk about informed awareness, we use it because there is no silver bullet. There is no one single indicator that if you see it, it's an absolute indicator that the person intends to harm others or intends to commit some sort of crime. But by creating informed awareness, we empower our students to make those decisions on their own. We're teaching them what to look for, and then we can let them use their own judgment and rely on their own experience to determine how best to deal with that person. But the earlier that we can put them into condition orange, the longer they have to actually fall back on the other training that they've gotten and determine the best way to actually deal with that threat. So when we take a look at behavioral analysis in general, or the tactical analysis program, where we teach students how to go through the 4 different pillars of observable behavior and how we can integrate that very fluidly into our decision-making ability when we're on the street, when we don't have access to a computer and Google searches to determine what it is that we're looking at, when we have to rely on the judgments and observations that that individual officer is making, the more informed that his observations are, the more accurate that his decisions will be. And ultimately, that's the goal of all the programs that we have, is to create that level of informed awareness.